You did your first gig in this tour last night, is that right?
That's right, yes.
How did things go?
Very nice, very nice. It was very jolly. And, I think that it's very different from anything I've ever done in America before. It's quite different. Because I've always worked with a band over here, with Steeleye. So.
You're out with Nick Holland, right?
That's right.
So how's the show stacking up? What kinds of things have you been doing?
Well, it's a combination of things really, because obviously it's what you might call minimalist. We do some traditional material that lots of which I've known for a long time, which is nice to do, and some material that I've written, some with my husband, Rick, who used to be in Steeleye.
Now, is that coming off of this Happy Families album?
Yes, some of that.
Well, tell me about that album.
Well, that was an album we did a year or two ago, and that's really songs very much based around the family. The title was supposed to be slightly ironic, but I wanted a photograph of us fighting on the front, but nobody else seemed to be up for that. So I think the irony's kind of lost a bit now. It's there in the song, but not in the album so much.
But it's all original stuff, right?
Yes, I think there's a standard on there. Who's Sorry Now? Other than that, it was written by Rick and I, and we were working together. But he's not very well at the moment because his shoulder. I think he's playing the bass for 30 years or whatever it is.
How is it bringing out, say, your own compositions versus doing the traditional material? Is it all pretty well received the same way? Or?
Yes, I think that they go together quite well. I don't feel there's a big split in style, because a lot of the way I write is, I've been singing traditional music so long, it's in there. And when I'm not doing sort of obvious pastiches of other things, which I did quite a lot earlier on in my writing, I think it sits quite comfortably. I'm quite sort of pleased with the way that they work together.
Plus, it's all your voice anyhow, so
yes.
There's a pretty major connection there.
Yeah. Yes, that makes a difference as well, because the less is kind of makes the songs themselves. You just have the bare song, there's not indications, because I find quite often when you put a band thing, it starts to take on a different form and the song goes somewhere else. It's very easy to get into sort of, say, pastiche, if you don't care.
Is that how the Steeleye stuff went?
No, well, Steeleye's always been a bit idiosyncratic, really, and gone its own road. We're still working, and the band's very good at the moment, actually. I think we had a quiet time in the 80s, really. We did a live album last year, which is Tonight's the Night live, which is, I'm really pleased with. I think certainly, we've only done one other live album, but I think it's really good, and I think it captures Steeleye really well, in fact. We've got a lovely bass player and drummer at the moment. There's still Peter Knight and Bob Johnson and myself that have been there for forever. And these two guys that have been with us, they've been there for 3 or 4 years now, so they're...
so they're not exactly new.
Well, I think of them as new, but of course it's all kind of relative, really.
Well, tell me about this tour.
We're going sort of straight across, as it were. We're starting in the east and going across to the west. I think it's the fastest I've gone across America, actually. I wanted to finish in Los Angeles because my son's coming out for a holiday. Yeah.
Is this at all different for you, performing more or less as a solo, or I guess call it a duo? I guess you started with Tim Hart years ago as a duo.
Yes, that's right. That was slightly different because Tim took a lot more of the lead. This is the first time, really, with working with Nick, where I've kind of been doing the front, as it were, which is quite different. I like it. I like it in lots of ways. I sort of miss the camaraderie of a band, if you know what I mean. At the same time, it's quite nice because you get communication going with the audience, which is quite different from when you're in a band.
Well, it's quite direct.
Yeah, well, yeah, they don't come more direct, really. I quite like that, talking to the audience.
The more direct?
Yes. I have little poems that I do as well, sort of, and it's just kind of, it's a lot more easy and kind of intimate, if you like.
Are you able to talk with the audience at all, or are you getting any input that way?
Yes. I said, well, I talk with them before and after the show, but also we seem to have a conversation going during the show, which is quite nice.
So, have you done this tour in England?
Yes.
Beforehand?
Yes, I've done one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still quite new to me, really.
Well, let's go back to Steeleye. And what do you think Steeleye managed to accomplish? First of all, when it first came out, and then how's it sitting these days then?
Well, I think it's hard to say, really. It's very difficult for me to get a handle on it because I'm sort of involved, although that's all, the early stuff is kind of separate, really. And that was, I think someone said we did some of the best and some of the worst with traditional music, which I think is probably a fair summation of the situation, really. We were always fairly experimental, and consequently, some of it worked and some of it didn't. And some of it seemed not to work then, but probably worked better than we thought, if you know what I mean.
Well, I would imagine that you would have had traditional people angry because of the electric instruments, and then other people would have been happy because you'd brought material to light that, you know, had been sitting around.
There was always those kind of debates going on. The record company never thought we were kind of like modern enough, as it were. They really couldn't get a handle on what we were doing at all. And the audiences wanted us to be, you know, sort of less modern in lots of ways. A lot of people still thought that the early band was acoustic, which it never was. In fact, Martin was one of the loudest electric players I've ever worked with. But,
well, I remember seeing you guys the first time in Santa Monica in 72 or something like that.
Yeah.
Without a drum kit, you were doing the Tabors.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, real early time there.
That was right. But we had a wonderful confidence about what we were doing. We were absolutely convinced that what we were doing was right. And I think that that's one of the things that you have with youth, if you like. That there was no doubt in our minds exactly what we were doing and why we were doing it and how we wanted to go about it. We'd argue and debate about it hours on end. And every single note was very serious. And it was kind of, I mean, and we didn't even realise it really at the time, I don't think.
How serious you were being? Or?
Yes, really. And what attitude to it was. And it's only in retrospect that one realises how confident and clear it all was, and how much having the traditional music to base things on gave us such a clear format and clear way of thinking. I mean, what we did with it was what we argued about, but that we started from that point.
But that you were doing it was the important thing.
Yes, that was, and it was very important to us. We took it very sort of seriously, if you like, and yet we joked with it quite a lot as well. I mean, it wasn't serious, heavy, but we took it quite seriously. As I say, and I think in the 80s, through the 80s, we were less secure because we wandered into other musics and got interested in different things, and therefore the line wasn't as easy for us to keep, and consequently we kind of lost our way a bit, I think, in the 80s. But it sort of feels to me like it's come back again.
Well, tell me about the band as it sits now.
Oh, we sort of based it in we've come back more to the tradition as the basis of what we do, whereas we got more into writing in the 80s, and that was there's still writing in it, but we've kind of moved back a bit, where we came from, if you understand what I mean. And that suits us very well.
So the initial impulse is still alive and well, then, I guess.
Oh, yes, yes. I mean, as I say, the band, it's always had a lot of energy, that band. And it is interesting how whatever other bands you work in, then each band is different. You think that if you put another person in, it'll be, or you play with different musicians that do things better, or, you know what I mean, that you can make it better, but it's never the same. You know, what Steeleye has, and people who come into it sort of adopt it, strange way. It's kind of quite distinctive and quite different to anything else.
We've always had a real rabid following among some Americans, anyhow.
That's right, yes.
I've known plenty of people who've been into, like, the Renaissance Fair's ideas, and...
That's right. There was the Society for Creative Anachronism.
Right.
Only the Americans could think that up.
Well, I've seen the band in many different forms. Like I said, that first time in Santa Monica, and of course the Passion Play tour.
Oh, right, yeah.
And,
that was great. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was big fun to see you guys up there.
Yeah.
And then I was in England in '77, and I got to see a show in Oxford with Martin Carthy back in.
Oh, the farewell tour.
Mhm.
Everyone should do a farewell tour. That was great. That was wonderful.
Well, I was in awe because I went to the pub behind, and all you guys were back there, and I thought, wow, I'm drinking with near Steeleye.
Yes, that was. Yes, we always went in the pub and had a drink. It was. That was a great tour. It was unfortunate in a way that we did a farewell tour because I think the band never quite recovered from that, and certainly never recovered media status, as it were. But not that we've died as personally on the strength of that. But we never really sort of reformed. We never reformed. It's taken us a long time to get that sort of clear idea back again. You know, it's been a strange journey, really.
You think there's an idea to bring Steeleye to the States?
I mean, we should come. You know what I mean? It's the only sensible thing to do, really.
Well, maybe this tour will set the stage for that.
I think so. I think there's every possibility. I mean, people were asking me last night when, and I'm sure, and I know the band wants to come. So it's just a case of getting it together, really.
Yeah, the money. Yeah.
Well, one of the things is that one of the lads has been doing a university course in England. And he's just done a psychology course. He's just gone on to do his master's, so he's kind of like he's been tied up really. So we've only been touring once a year, so that's kind of really cut out a lot of activity. It's been very good, in fact, because it's focused us more clearly on what we're doing. There are quite a lot of young people who come to the gigs, particularly college kids, that come along, certainly to Steeleye. And are interested in that and sort of discovering us, you know, like we used to discover the old blues singers. It's a bit like that. But I don't know how big that group is.
Can you characterize English music at this time? What's the big thing?
Well, there's a lot of
probably rap still.
Yeah, a lot of that. It's just we have this thing called Top of the Pops in England. You know about that, but it's a program that has the top 10. And or the top 20 or whatever's in chart sort of thing. And they decided to have a new policy where the singer had to sing live, which I thought was really interesting because she obviously suddenly started getting singers on there. But also the other thing he got was rap because well the other ones that don't have any vocals, you know, that there's a thing called Two Unlimited that's gone done really well. I don't know if you have them over here, but they're called Rave and that, and they. But there's one of the songs was No Limits, and it's generally known as No Lyrics, you know, because they just have this one line, and that's it. So of course they go on and sing this one line, and it's so it's really weird. You've got this strange thing that there's people who are quite technically proficient, and then people who haven't got a clue. And it seems to be split like that very much. I don't know a lot about it. I've got a 12-year-old son, so I suspect I shall learn quite a lot lot about it, you know, in the next couple of years. He's quite interested in music and
maybe more than you want.
Yeah, but he's quite happily saying that's rubbish, that's terrific, and I can't tell the difference. You know, inevitably the generation gap is quite telling in that way. So
tell me about the Silly Sisters project. Of course, there's been 2 volumes of that out.
That's right. Well, we've done the one, No More to the Dance, which we did 2 or 3 years ago. We mainly did it because June came to live in the same area. I live up in the Scottish borders, which is a bit remote for England. And she just came to live sort of round the corner. And so it was literally the proximity of us being close together that sort of got the project off the ground, really. We'd sort of kept saying over the years when we met up that we'd do it again, but it sort of wasn't a real going concern until she literally, as I say, moved around the corner. But she's moved away again now, so...
So that's it.
Well, that's it, really. But it was only one-off projects each time, really. They weren't sort of intended to be an ongoing thing. Although they've done very well in America, strangely enough. There seemed to be particularly, I think, the first one, as you say, established us in some strange way. Because it's the one thing that people nearly always mention over here. So I also work with another band called the Carnival Band. Did you know anything about that?
Yeah, I saw a mention of that in the bio. What's that about?
That's they're sort of like a consort, but not what you call purists. You know what I mean? And they because we do, so they do carnival music when it's their choice. different sorts, quite jovial. But we've only worked so far. Well, we've just recently done other stuff, but we've been working on carols and hymns. We did a couple of carol albums and one on Wesleyan hymns, which was brilliant to do. I mean, they're just such wonderful hymns. And we just embarked on a singing in the bath project as our next one. They're quite jolly.
Now, when you say carnival, are you referring to a religious word?
No, jolly.
Jolly, okay, all right. Good enough.
I mean, we have been doing religious simply because that's how we came together, and it seemed to, we just quite enjoyed it and got off, we sort of just got into that. But we've now decided to try some other stuff.
But you've been working with quite a few record companies over the years.
Yeah.
Does that bother you? Cat, Plant Life, Spindrift, Sadisc? I've got a list here.
Well, yes, it's kind of just one of those things, really. That we with Steeleye with Chrysalis for many years. That was kind of where the main sort of thing was. All the solo projects have kind of been spin-offs, really, in other directions. And inevitably small companies, so they kind of are variable. And they seem to come and go.
A lot of people I talk to actually prefer smaller companies just because
I like to work with them.
Yeah, you don't get lost in the cracks so easily, anyhow.
No, well, the other thing is I just can't do with all that record company hype. I had all that, and it just depresses me so unutterably. That it's just, I like to work with people I like these days. There's no need for anything more than that.
Must just be better for the music itself.
It's better for your health, that's for sure.
Got any other future plans coming up other than this tour? Is there anything in the wings?
No, I've been doing some telly things in England. I don't know if they've come over here then. There was a wildlife program actually I've been doing just recently on hares, which was really interesting to do. That was because they sort of do wildlife on one as a kind of series that goes on forever. That the BBC do, and it's kind of it's really kind of quality stuff, So I was really pleased to do it, but they brought in the mythological side of the hare, which was really good. So I brought that in with the songs.
Playing music for so long, what exactly do you get out of music still? What's the bottom line? What keeps you motivated to be a musician? What's that special connection there that keeps you going?
I still find it a challenge. Simple thing is performing. The music is, I think that the spin-offs from the tradition. The tradition is what the best of the tradition is just so brilliant. It's so profound. Say the best of it. It's not all that brilliant.
The music itself, you mean?
Yeah. The songs themselves are just stunning. I'm sort of very interested in the background, to ballads particularly. I'm interested. And also I just love singing. I mean, funny enough, I don't sing a great deal off stage, but there's just there's a sort of shared energy with an audience that I really enjoy. That I think I really do get energy from the audience.
Well, it seems to be complete when you have an audience, music, a performer.
Yes.
Something that, despite the wonderful technology of recording, it's just not there in records.
No, that's right. Steeleye particularly have always been a live band. We've never got it on vinyl, really. But there is just something about the relationship that the energy that I get from a gig is just terrific. I love it. It's a terrific buzz. And as I say, it's not. I used to think it was to do with ego, but it isn't really. It's not as simple as that.
When you're performing, do you find yourself all of a sudden in a different place and time, or maybe
I get pretty involved in what I'm doing. I think it's the one time that I'm not that distracted. I'm fairly focused. I say fairly focused, but and I think that's the time that I am most focused. I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and I don't have any confusion. If I do get confused, I get distracted, and sometimes but that's quite rare, really. And I think that's what most people get from their job, actually. It's the thing that they know how to do, and they sort of.
And when it's going right.
There's just something. It kind of takes itself along, and you're kind of you just got on the bus,
Uh-huh.
There's something of that about it somehow.
Understand getting lost in music.
Yeah, I get bad stage nerves as well, but not as bad as they used to be.
Well, I would think you'd get used to it after a while. But
you would think so, wouldn't
yeah.
you? But it's not like that.
Like, for instance, on this tour you're doing now, is there any kind of nervousness involved?
Oh, yeah, of course. First time I've been to America on my own, and I've only really just started to work as, presenting what I do